Hey, this is Kaja Elliott, Bronx born and raised, ATL made, Bay Area becoming, and this is the As Told By podcast. All right, episode 6 of the As Told By podcast. We are back. Glad to be back in studio. Shout out to Stay Diff for hosting this week's episode of the As Told By podcast. And we got a good one today. And I'm talking to another chef today that we all know and love here in Oakland, operator of Town Fair Cafe at Oakland Museum of California, formerly of Gussie's in the Fillmore, San Francisco, Chef Michele McQueen.
Hello, hello.
Hey.
Hey.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. I'm a big fan of yours.
Thank you so much. I am of yours as well.
Thank you. I got to work with you during my very first K in the Bay curated dining event. You prepared the food for us at Black Girls Greenhouse, and it was really amazing.
Thank you. It was such a good time, wasn't it? Beautiful space, man. Great people, and great food, I must say myself.
Yes, you did. You did that. You did that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So thanks for coming. I do my research on people when they come up, and I thought that you were originally from the West Coast, but I understand you're from Jersey originally.
I am from Jersey. All my family's in Jersey. I may have 2 cousins in all of the West Coast. Yes. Born in Jersey, East Orange.
Okay.
My mom family's from Jersey City. So I am a East meets West girl is what I say.
Mm-hmm. How long have you been in Oakland?
I mean, I've been in Oakland since I was 2. So I'm definitely, I am an Oaklander. Yes.
Okay. I identify with that East meets West. I've been here far less time than you have, but still got those connections on the East.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't know you weren't from here. Mm-hmm. So I tell people I am an Oakland girl with East Coast values. Because they vary just a little bit different in their foundation from California traditional values.
I identify with this.
Thank you.
100%. No, I'm from the Bronx.
Oh, okay. Well, hey.
Yes, hey.
Oh, we're neighbors.
Listen, there we go.
Yes.
I saw you post the other day banners of your face hanging around the lamppost in Lake Merritt. Isn't that crazy?
I have been truly supported by the Oakland Museum of California. Mm-hmm. And they came to me with the idea and putting my face around these banners with some of the other things that they're telling people, the wonderful things that are available and that they offer at the Oakland Museum. Mm-hmm. And just this morning, I saw another banner that has my chicken sandwich on it, my fried chicken sandwich on it. And I didn't even know that was there yet.
That's amazing. And to see it at the lake, which is such like a quintessential location within the heart of Oakland.
It is the heart of Oakland.
It is the heart. Parking meters be damned. It is the heart of Oakland.
Exactly. It is the heart of Oakland where we have spent time, taking your kids to the playground, walking around the lake, picnicking at the lake, festival at the lake. Mm-hmm. For those who remember, the lake has been home to so many events. It has such a meaning for everyone from the east to the north and the west. It truly is the heart of Oakland. Yeah. So special to be having yourself and your business and what you do represented there. So that's a good place for us to start. So from family from Jersey, you've essentially for the majority of your life been raised here in Oakland. I think we were joking when you came in that you're a graduate of Skyline. Yes.
Yeah. What has it meant to you to be now an owner and operator of a business in the place where you were raised?
This was never my intention, which is what's so interesting. I graduated from Skyline. I was part of a scholarship group called Inroads. So I interned at Kaiser regional offices through all the summers and Christmases when I came home from college. I went to Howard University.
Okay.
And so, yes, shout out to the Bisons. And when I came back, it was such that I was expected to work at Kaiser. And I was. It was also my plan to go to law school. So when I graduated from college, I was I'd taken my LSATs, I was submitting my law applications, and I met my ex-husband who was opening a restaurant. He had a Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles franchise, one of only, I think, 2 or 3 that's ever been sold. And so I ditched law school to do that with him. pissed my mother off.
I was about to say, was your parents pissed?
Livid. My mother was livid. She's extremely proud now, but at that point, she literally was like, I did not pay for you to go to college to be frying some damn chicken. So Brenda was livid.
We're sorry, Brenda.
That's right. But, it turns out that when I was a young girl, I wanted to cook. I loved cooking. I spent so much time with my grandmother in New Jersey in the summertime, by her side, in the kitchen, learning what she knew. I always really loved it. There are pictures of me popping the ends off of string beans with my grandmother. And I always loved watching Julia Childs. So I loved cooking shows then. And I used to say I wanted to be a chef. But growing up, then the trajectory was that you go from high school to college to grad school, you get a good job, lawyer, doctor, what have you, that was the thing. So I ditched those thoughts of being a chef. So it's funny how things that are meant to happen just come back around full circle. So I'm proud to be here. I'm proud to be able to share my gifts, my talents, my creativity with people. The most pleasurable thing out of owning a restaurant or being a chef for me is the smile and the happiness on people's faces when they eat your food. Nothing's better than that.
I think, first of all, I love the Julia Childs. People are underutilizing public broadcast cooking shows.
Oh my God.
It's different than what you find on the Food Network, which has this very celebrity-esque tinge to it. I have found that the shows and the content on public broadcasting channel is where they're really getting into the skill-based conversations.
And in some ways, they come across a little more authentic. On Food Network, bless their hearts, it's wonderful. But they come across not quite scripted, but like talent. Like they are like entertainment talent.
Curating.
Yes, as opposed to, people sharing their craft and their knowledge. Although they definitely are sharing their craft and knowledge on Food Network, but it's, it's it's the background laughs. It's all of that. Yeah.
I think the other thing you said there that was interesting to me is I think sometimes the hospitality industry part of it, like that word hospitality, it's not just all of these shiny, sleek. It's the serving, right? And the joy in the serving and the connection with people that's really at the root of all of this.
It definitely is. And that part of it, I think, is missing in some of these young kids coming out of culinary school and thinking they are going to go from culinary school to Food Network right away. The hospitality industry is the service industry. Okay, and people with all of its glitz and glamour and the shine that it is now receiving, and it's well deserved because the chefs, the bartenders, whatever, everybody, well, not everybody, but there are many talented people doing that. But it is the service industry, and there is pride that comes in service, and there's pride in your craft, and pride in sharing it with the people that you are serving. Culinary school is a trade school. Okay, let's not forget that, because you need to remain humble, and you have to retain your sense of humility, because there are those chefs that sometimes you lose that. And I often want to remind you with all of your accomplishments, it's a trade school. You have a trade. Not that it's any less valuable than a degree, but there's a certain humility that I think needs to come with it. Well, humility needs to come with anything, but you get what I'm saying.
I know what you mean.
Right. And that's important because it is the service industry.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot to be there to do that. And there's a lot that your very accomplished chefs have put in, the work they've put in to get where they are is hard work.
Yeah.
It's very hard work.
Yeah. I'm going to speak to this in a little bit, but I completely appreciate what you're saying. A lot of times what we get to see is either a finished product or the outcome of years of work, but you only are presented maybe 2 to 3 of those years. And I think there's a false read that you get online, but we're going to get to that.
All right.
We're going to get to that. Okay. So you went to culinary school, you're a formally trained chef, and you were able to parlay that into a restaurant, Gussie's.
Well, I'm not formally trained.
Oh, you're not?
I never went to culinary school.
Okay, wait. Park and break, parallel park. So you didn't?
No. I never went to culinary school.
So how then? So, okay, let's take a step back. Ex-husband opening a restaurant. you decide to pull out of law school. Okay, so Miss Brenda, I know, was extra pissed because it wasn't even like we went to culinary school or setting up for this. So you decide to partner at that time to go into business with the restaurant. So now how did that translate to cooking professionally?
You know, it literally, I tell people, I went to the School of Hard Knocks. So couple interesting things. I've only worked for myself in terms of working in a restaurant. I've never worked at anyone else's restaurant. I've only worked for myself. So that's unique because I never came up in the ranks of yes, chef, yes, chef, yes. I was receiving the yes chefs.
Better come on.
So I learned a lot from the people I hired. But when I was speaking about humility, I also would not allow you to call me a chef until I actually felt like I had earned that title.
Okay.
So once again, also going back to the trade school, it's just like my hairstylist. You can go to esthetician school, or I think that's what they do with hair school, or you can also like kind of apprentice under someone and still get the same title. So chef is the same. I know a lot of good chefs never went to culinary school, and they're excellent. Needless to say, yes, I did not go. I learned a lot from the people I hired. Now, I did invest some time in taking some classes. I did sit through a whole Julia Child series. I did take some classes from a gentleman who was a professor at California Culinary Institute, what have you, Charles Valmar, and I learned a lot from Charlie. And then in a brief stint between when my last restaurant closed and maybe this one a few years back, I also was asked to run a culinary program at Apple by a friend of mine who was a wonderful chef as well, who never went to culinary school.
Okay.
And I went and did that, and that was also very good. So I've always learned a lot. I've always considered myself the student, and I think it's important that people remember there's always something to learn. I'm the person who I think I have something to learn from the people that work for me and something to learn from the people that are above me. If you ever get to a point where you feel like you're not learning something, then you're surrounding yourself around the wrong people. You know, so that's been my training, reading, knowledge, watching, practicing, what have you.
So I did not know that, and I'm so glad to find that out. I think it speaks to something that is often a point of conversation in entrepreneur circles about getting started versus waiting for some formal invitation or formalized process or formal anything to move into what you want. There's something to be said for just getting in something, and we're just going to figure this out and learn as we go along, and being able to really maximize that. It almost seems like as important, maybe even slightly more important than the skill, is the ability to get into an ambiguous situation and navigate it.
Yes, definitely. And it's funny because when I was interning at Kaiser, at one point I was with the human resources department, and my boss at the time, I was 18, 19 years old, he made a comment, and I was in college, and he made a comment about he valued work experience over education. You know, and at that time, I was like, huh? You know, and not to say there's anything wrong with getting formal education, because when you do get a formal education, you're actually getting more than just the quote unquote education. It's a life of education. But he was referencing that, and now that I'm older, it does make a lot of sense. And so with that, you have people today who are going that route, and they are doing just what you said. They are jumping in and figuring it out. And just going after what they want. And if they're truly passionate about it and committed and dedicated, they can be successful with it, and you can get the education as you're going along.
Got it. Okay. Important. This is important skills to have. Okay, so then that takes us back to Gussie's. At what point in your career, you know, like where were you in your career as a chef at the time that the opportunity at Gussie's became available to you, and what are some of the key learnings during that experience that you took from, you know, aside from talent, this is what it takes to successfully run a restaurant?
So Gussie's came about because I was kind of like in between doing things like, what do I really wanted back in, but do I want to, you know? And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. And a friend who was in government at the time in San Francisco told me about that space. Okay. Let me just go check it out. So I did. And I ended up working with the landlord. I ended up getting some money from one of my best friends. And I jumped right in, I jumped right in. Just like you said, it was really like faith it until you make it. Not fake it until you make it, but just faith it until you make it, right? And each step, I just learned everything from, okay, well, I created the menu. I had actually done that before, but I was creating the menu, then I'm doing the staffing, and then I'm doing this. And a lot of times I was doing a lot of this by myself. I never really had a partner or a whole bunch of support staff. So I pulled it off. We got a lot of publicity. We opened, here's one mistake. I opened, and it happens with a lot of businesses, a lot of Black businesses. You never have enough money. When I opened Gussie's, I had $5,000 in the bank. My payroll the first month was $50,000. My gross sales were enough to where I could cover all my bills and pay my people and pay everything else. That's one thing that's very important. Pay your people, pay your vendors.
Yes.
And so it worked. And we were there for 5 years, but it was the grind of it. When you're not funded except for out of your pocket or out of your profits or what have you. That's kind of the mistake we all make. And then the other learning experience is building a team, building the proper team that can support you. And what does the team look like to you? What do you truly need in a team to make that supportive? And then I was very supported by the community. So that was awesome. I had a lot of support from the community. But my reason for opening Gussie's was I wanted a place where I could go and get soul food, but I could dine in a nice looking place, built with our soul food and our people. And I didn't know a place like that here.
Because usually it's just a lot of white styrofoam containers. And I mean, do what you got to do. But sometimes people want to sit down and have a meal.
And at the time, I didn't know about that. I think after I opened Gussie's, I could have my dates wrong, is when the place in San Leandro opened up, owned by Axel Gospel.
Lena's.
Not Lena's.
No.
I don't think they're not around anymore.
I know what you're talking about. Souls. I remember.
It was
yes,
Souls.
That was early in my time in the Bay Area.
Yes. So that came around and probably trying to fill the same gap that I was.
Yes.
And that was really my goal. And I also wanted to make sure that it remained soul food, because a lot of times you'll have I am not embarrassed by soul food as a chef. I do love elevated cuisine and the creativity of the things that we can do with it, which is why you will see me serve some traditional soul food, but you may also see me get super creative with something.
You're good for putting a twist on the classics.
I'd like to put the twist on the classic, but I also want some things to remain the same. Please leave mac and cheese. I don't want your little cavatappi pasta and all your different, and your pennes and all that. I don't want that. I want elbow macaroni. Cheese, I want you to make it well, but that's what I don't want a casserole. I want Sunday
no mascarpone
mac and cheese. Yeah, I want Sunday mac and cheese.
Okay.
And so I wanted, and I wanted that. Yeah. I wanted that and collard greens and red beans and rice and cornbread and biscuits and chicken and waffles and and chicken and waffles. Not, please, to everyone listening, and some people are going to hate me for saying this, but seeing as though. And there are people who can attest to this truth. And if you don't believe me, you can Google it. My ex-husband and Julian and I were the first people to serve chicken and waffles in all of Northern California. Y'all were not doing it. And it's no disrespect, but it's just the truth.
Call a thing a thing.
Just call it what it is.
Right.
It is the truth. And it dates back. And there are people who will, definitely tell you I'm telling the truth. Chicken and waffles needs to be fried chicken with a bone in it and skin on it. These boneless...
You better break it down.
These boneless, skinless pieces of chicken. It's a chicken tender or like a chicken sandwich. And the taste is different because you don't have the fat from the skin and all of that. It's different. I do understand the struggles with making sure that the chicken with the bone in it and skin on, is done all the way and in the process of getting it out fast and all of that. I could help you with some of that. But yes, please, I encourage everyone to keep it what it's supposed to be.
Keep it to the origins.
Yes.
Are we doing a savory waffle? I see a lot of waffle varieties.
I like that. Just like, because I do waffle varieties. And that's okay. There's some that I really do love.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually doing, I'll have to show you a picture, Black Excellence waffle for Black History Month, or for the last 2 weeks we have in it. It is an activated charcoal waffle.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Nice.
Activated charcoal waffle with fried chicken and gold syrup.
Gold syrup.
And I make my syrup from scratch. We make everything from scratch.
Okay.
Yes. Everything but my hot sauce.
I'm like, what is the gold syrup? We'll talk about that offline.
We'll talk about that later.
Okay. All right. So this makes sense to me because so Gussie's was closing right around the time I just came to the Bay Area. So unfortunately for me, I missed that train. But people always talk about the fried chicken at Gussie. So it's definitely something that stood out. Anytime I hear people refer to it, they seem to have really great memories of the food. But given that you had a successful restaurant venture before Town Fair, and we'll talk about that in just a second, how did you approach not doing like a copy and paste of what Gussie's was to Town Fair?
So Town Fair, being that it's at the Oakland Museum, it's a very unique space. And it's definitely a destination spot for people who are not going to the museum on a particular day, but it also services the people that are attending the museum. So one thing I wanted to do was create what I call cultural comfort food. So, and for me, what does Oakland represent? We have, a strong Black history and culture here in Oakland. Food, history, politically, a strong Black culture here. We also have a strong Latino culture here and a strong Asian culture here. And I wanted to make sure that there was a way I could kind of blend all of that together and let it be represented in the food without losing sight of who I am as a chef and the Southern food and how that's my foundation.
Okay.
So when I did that at Town Fair, yes, I made sure we still have the fried chicken and the mac and cheese and the cornbread and biscuits and whatnot. But then I also brought in things like, our collard green yam and cabbage spring roll, which has, jerk spices and curry in it, but it is served with a black bean and sriracha and sweet chili aioli.
It's very good. I have had it.
Thank you. And it's vegan. And then we brought in, the blackened jackfruit tacos, with a vegan aioli. And so that's where we kind of bring things together. And just like my gumbo ramen.
I saw that. That's new.
Oh, it's delicious.
I saw the pictures online.
I don't get me wrong. I like my food, but then there are times you make stuff and you're like, oh, I outdid
That's
myself.
it, right?
That is delicious. And I tell people it is gumbo ramen, not ramen gumbo. So it's gumbo first, but it's wonderful. And it has the egg if you like it with traditional ramen. We get our noodles fresh, made from Chinatown. None of that crackly, oil in the water in the package. There's a place for that. But it's not in my gumbo. Right. And so that's wonderful. So there are different things like that I try to incorporate and bring to the menu here that are different from Gussie's. And it's also my way of branching out and letting some of my creativity shine and do some things that still keep it fun for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, still keep it fun.
Got it. So Town Fair has its own identity. So just to take a step back for a moment. So this was last summer that you opened under your direction and leadership, Town Fair Cafe at Oakland Museum of California, which is a beautiful space. If you have not been there, you should. The space inside is beautiful, but then there's the whole outside patio with the lighting, and it's right there adjacent to the museum. And to the point you made, I actually have never been to Oakland Museum of California. I should go, but I have certainly been to Town Fair Cafe.
Well, and you're not alone. I had to Google when I was going to meet them there. I had to literally Google where it was, and where Town Fair was. and it makes it somewhat challenging for me. So I'm really trying to work hard on letting people know that we're there, that we have weekly Sunday brunch with live music, with DJ by Mark DeVita, and it's a good time. And the grounds of the museum are absolutely gorgeous. And the thing with those banners, they're really letting people know you can access the museum. First off, you can come to the museum without buying a ticket to go inside the gallery. Okay. You can just come to the museum, sit on the lawn, check out the grounds. There's a pond with fish and turtles and everything that children love. Beautiful grassy area with picnic tables. I'm there. The rooftop patio is there. So many wonderful things that are there that are free are great. And then you have the galleries. So you have the traditional museum gallery that, has all of these wonderful things from the gold rush to animals to all kinds of history there. And then you have the different exhibits. And currently we have the Angela Davis exhibit, which goes until June. So you have time. And so that's a wonderful place to come and just check it out. It's right here in your, in your backyard. Yeah.
Let me get on down to OMCA. I'm still coming to Town Fair afterwards. But let me get on down to OMCA and check out the museum. But, in talking about that, did you have any trepidation in approaching the process of bringing Town Fair to life? Because it had been under the direction of a couple of other highly visible chefs. So did you feel like, okay, I'm stepping into this space people already know from so-and-so, so I have to really make it whatever?
I get asked that a lot. So I didn't necessarily feel any kind of way about that in that respect. What I felt was I've been out of the restaurant business now since 2014, since December 2014. So when I do this, I need to do it well, and I need to do it a certain way so that it gets the respect that it's due, and I make a good impact on the community and show up for myself, and show up for the people. So it was more so, not in competition with myself, but shining for myself as opposed to shining better than the last. I think it's a great space. I thought it was highly underutilized, and I was really looking at different ways that it can be used and people can know about it. And I'm not quite sure that it was ever looked at that way before. I think it was highly relied upon the museum goers, but it's such a great catering space. We cater a ton of events there, and it lends itself to be, transformed into whatever your vision is. So that's wonderful, aside from the fact that it comes with parking, which is amazing these days. But that's really, what it was. I knew, and I often get asked when I do interviews like, oh, well, coming behind Tanya Holland and whatnot. And Tanya's great, and she has definitely, done some wonderful things here in the city. But I never compare myself to any of the other Black female chefs in the area. I like us to uplift each other and support each other. And that's so important to me. I tell people all the time, look, McDonald's is across the street from Burger King. Nordstrom's across the street from Macy's. Saks is across the street for Neiman's. Everybody's going to like what they like. When I was in San Francisco, and I was across the street from 1300, and they were higher end, and I was lower end. I was more casual dining, and they were more upscale dining. But we supported each other tremendously, serving similar cuisines and different styles. But we supported each other. And that is what I think is important, and that is why any opportunity I get or any event I have, I always try to invite or include some of the Black female chefs, male as well, in any way that I can and let them know we're supported, because we need that. We need to feel that from each other.
Yes.
We need to know that you can call on me for something. You can depend on me, like I got you. We don't always have that.
Right. And a lot of times it can be, I don't know, maybe made to feel competitive, but it's really not. It's a collaborative effort, not a competitive effort.
And it's more a competitive feeling than it is collaborative at a lot of times. I tell people, I was just speaking to a friend of mine who's not in the hospitality industry, but, too often it seems like the door's open, but they might only be letting one person in. So I can't really tell you about it. I can't, because if I bring you along with me,
and I can't get in.
Yeah, I might not be able to get in. it becomes that sort of thing. But once you do get in, how about opening the doors up for others? And a lot of times I see people get in and they don't want to open the door up for others. And maybe it's for fear of losing their spot. And I don't know what it's going to take, but we either have to create our own spaces so that you won't feel like you're going to lose your own spot by being the only, one of the only Black people allowed in. But we got to change it. One way or another, we have to change it.
Yeah. I tell you.
I know. It's heavy.
It is. It's a lot. We were talking about this right before we started recording, about the fact that this profession, the culinary profession, the chef profession, has really been glamorized in recent years and, made to look very sleek and sexy, particularly for male chefs. Male chefs are like the new rapper, right? As far as the shine and the amount of, the attention and bravado that goes with it. But what about the actual business and the sweat equity of being a chef and a restaurateur? Because I would bet that it's probably not as sexy as it looks.
It's not. And it's not until it is. That's the key, right? It's not until it is. So you put a lot of hard work, a lot of time, a lot of, rise and grind, a lot of hustle into not just your craft, but as an owner, you are now running the business.
Yes.
And you'll have a lot of talented chefs who don't know how to run a business, but maybe they are not in a position also to partner with the other side of the person who does.
Okay.
But you're putting your all into something that you are trying to create for the people. And it is a lot of work. It's a lot of late nights, a lot of sleepless nights. And the first thing I find that when I talk to a chef owner who has recently got out the business, the first thing they say is, I'm actually sleeping now.
Oh, wow.
Right. Because if you're not waking up wondering if you forgot to do this or to do that or what have you, like I said, before you reach that top tier, then it just comes with the business. So there's a lot of sweat equity that goes into it. And it's interesting you brought up the point about male chefs because that's definitely true. It's much harder for women and it is much harder for Black women. So when it does come to Black women, there are few and far between, except for 28 days out the year. Okay, so they come for you. They come for you during Black History Month. And also since in these recent years, when everyone has now been hyper-focused on inclusion and diversity, equity, okay? You have these companies and networks and what have you really putting an effort into showcasing more Black and brown people. And so we are finally getting some help in that area, but it is still definitely harder for Black female chefs, probably a handful, so it is tough. And then I find that once, I don't know if it's lazy reporting, but that once they find one, everyone gravitates to that one. And then male or female, and then the stories are all on that one. They don't search any further. So it's interesting. I'm still trying to navigate it without losing my soul. I am 51 now, so my goals are different. But it's definitely interesting to watch.
Yeah, it's gone from a profession that was really based around just the skill, and sometimes these would be faceless people, right, who you would know their end product, but you wouldn't know them. But it's almost the exact opposite now. Like, the chef, even if you haven't had their food, may never have their food, but you are very well aware of who they are as a person.
And that part makes me happy because it's well deserved. Because I know the work that goes into it, it is well deserved. Especially if the chef is different from the owner, it is well deserved. And oftentimes it would just be everybody's so happy to know and get to know the owner, but now they're so happy to know and get to know the chef. And that's a good thing because, you go there and you eat that wonderful food and the chef deserves some credit for that. Yeah, so it's nice to see that. And it does make me happy to see some of that credit coming to the forefront.
Do you think it's ever a distraction?
From what?
From the craft.
I don't think so, but I think with any talented creative, because we are creatives, you can be distracted by it and lose sight of where you come from or that level of humility that I was speaking of. Mm-hmm. But in this industry, as in others, you can be humbled very quickly.
Yes, you can.
Very, very quickly. So enjoy it while it's there and try to sustain and maintain it really is the goal, because there have been some that have been humbled by it very quickly, as you see with whatever it might be, staff lawsuits or whatever. So it doesn't matter,
Right.
you know?
Right.
But yes.
There, hell, you didn't nail you. That's the saying, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a tough one.
So just to go down a different road for a second, one of the things you and I have in common is we have daughters the same age.
Oh, wow. Yes.
Yes. And that means, you know, with the amount of time that you've been in this career, that there is a living witness basically to your entire journey as a chef. You know, so now as two grown women, you know, what do you think your daughter would say about where you started and where you are now?
I think that my daughter, along with my mother, are probably my two biggest supporters. She is beyond proud of me. You know, I know it. She has seen me smile. She's seen me cry. She's seen me work late, get up early. She really has seen it all since she was born. I mean, there was a crib. I had her, I worked till I was probably 8 months pregnant, and I had her in a crib, you know, in the office on Broadway when she was an infant. So she has seen it all, and I know she's very proud. She probably also wants nothing to do with this. I have no intentions on leaving her restaurant at all. I don't know if I wish that on her at all. Very few chefs that I know with kids do their kids want to take it over.
Okay.
Right. So but I know she's exceptionally proud of me. I will say, if you intend on owning a restaurant, being a chef, don't have kids. Yeah. I know one gentleman who's not a chef, but he owned Merritt Bakery, Charles. And Charles owned Merritt Bakery, and he owned a few Burger Kings and stuff prior to that. Charles said he never wanted kids because he always knew he was going to have a restaurant. It takes all of your time to do it and to do it well. So either have the perfect partner, or just know that your time is going to be consumed. Yeah, and it is hard to juggle. I had a lot of help, but it's hard to juggle.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing, it's early mornings, it's late nights, and, you know.
It's long hours.
It's long hours, and then the recovery time, you're still a person, you have to sleep, you have to recharge, so it's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Definitely.
Wow. You know, there's a quote, one of my favorite chefs I follow, Naisha Arrington, she did a 2022 TED Talk at TEDx Berkeley. And one of the quotes from that talk is, she says, "I went on to work in many fine dining kitchens to create thousands and thousands of recipes, but I'd say one of my greatest creations thus far has been my life recipe." What has been your life recipe? What have you sifted, folded in, sat in room temperature, chopped, preheated to get to where you are today?
Wow, that's a question. That's a question. My life's recipe has changed. It keeps evolving. It's a recipe that gets better with time. You know, like a gumbo is better 2 days later because now all the flavors come out. You know, or marinara sauce or something like that. My life's recipe has been hard work, commitment, faith, leaps of faith. Gosh, more hard work than I wished for. I always wish I'd worked smarter, not harder. But I think in the beginning, you work harder until you get smarter.
Okay.
Is what happens. Those are the things. My upbringing has helped me. I was raised to, you worked. You worked. I cleaned the neighbor's yard for $4 an hour when I was like 10 or 11. My dad did not play that sleeping in. You were getting up to do something. Okay. My sister had a paper route. I had a job. And so I was raised with a certain level of work ethic. And that a lot of kids, I think, miss these days. Times are different. But so hard work is definitely part of my life's recipe. And tenacity, like I said, faith and belief, risk, and risk again.
That's a good one.
Yeah, fail again, learn, fail again until you get it right. I'm still learning. I'm still failing, and I'm learning, and I'm getting some things right this time around. So your recipe is it's a gumbo. It's a stew. It's got lots of ingredients. It's got your mirepoix that you start with, your 3 core things. And everything else after that, you just continue to build the flavor upon and add your own flavor to it until it just becomes that one delectable, creation that you want it to be.
All right. That's the word, y'all. Yes. Okay, so what's coming up next? What do you have going on?
I suffer with definitely ADD, but so I get these wonderful ideas. And I suffer with prioritizing them. Currently, yes, don't we all? There's so many things I want to do. One thing, I have had some of the same goals I've had for years, and I've yet to see them come to fruition. And I told myself this year that was going to stop. I mentioned to you offline that I make everything from scratch. And so I want to product those items. My spices, my waffle mixes, my syrup is made from scratch, my salad dressings, everything that we make from scratch. And, get it on the market so people can take it home, make it themselves, enjoy it themselves when they just can't come see me. So that's something that I've always wanted to do. Okay. That's really what is next in line for me. I do have another restaurant down the line coming, and we'll see how that pans out. One thing COVID taught me was, how do you want to live your life? What do you want that to look like moving forward? What do you want that to look like? And how do you enjoy your time, spending your time, and how can you get the best out of it while maintaining the lifestyle that you desire to live? So I'm in that, that kind of mindset right now in figuring that out and making sure that it really resonates with my passion and my creativity. And I'm hoping and believe that creating these products, they're already really created. So it's just, and tested, it's just getting them out there. I'm excited about that. And I always have a passion for the restaurant industry, as difficult as it is. And challenging and sleepless and all of that. So I will probably venture down that road as well. Yeah.
And then I know
cookbooks and all that good stuff.
Oh, I love a good cookbook.
Yes.
I collect them.
I do too. And I don't cook anything out of them.
Me either. I just like having them.
I like looking at the pictures. I will get inspiration. Sometimes I'm like thinking about stuff. I did that last week. I just laid up in bed with like 3 different cookbooks. One I got in South Africa. One was from like a guy from South Carolina. And I'm flipping through them and just trying to get inspiration and ideas. But I never cook anything out of a cookbook.
Okay.
I don't know. That's hard. That's horrible. How am I going to want to make a cookbook, but I don't cook anything out the cookbook?
But that's okay. Like you said, it's for inspiration. And also it's a keepsake. It's like a snapshot in the career of, in the life of someone's career.
Well, and the other thing is, my style of cooking, because I like to entertain. So I like to have parties at my home, from backyard parties. I think I'm known for having pretty good parties. Backyard parties, holiday parties, cocktail parties, what have you, birthday parties. I like simple and easy, but it looks like it took so much more time than it did. So I think my cookbook would be centered around just that. Here's something you can make, and it's not, all involved, and it's, super chefy and all this, these processes. I just want it to really, but it looks like it took a long time.
Okay.
And so you can enjoy it, and how to throw a party for 30, how to plan it, how to create a menu, and then here are the menus, how to really make it work. Make it easy. It's simple and easy. Yeah.
Okay. Very nice. And now it's February as we record this. This is Black Joy Month in Oakland.
Yes.
I know we said earlier, so for the listenership, many of the episodes are pre-recorded and then released on a schedule, but we're going to have this come out because Black Joy Month is happening. You have a series of events going on at Town Fair. Tell people what is going to be happening.
I do have a series of events. I am excited to let people know we are there, to share some of this Black excellence with everyone. We have an event starting, excuse me, we have an event on Thursday called A Seat at the Table. We've been wanting a seat at the table for a long time. I am offering you a seat at the table.
Literal.
Okay? Literal. We will come together over a 7-course curated dinner prepared by myself over a beautiful decorated and designed table. You will be in community with other people at your table. We will have, we will have a celebrity guest host in conversation with a guest speaker. And this will be a quarterly event. So that will happen every quarter. And that's going to be wonderful. We are also doing a music pairing with it. So with each dish that comes out, a different song will be played that will make you feel the way I expect this dish to make you feel.
Wow, I love that.
So we'll have a music pairing. We'll have a very thought-provoking conversation. We will have conversation boxes about every 4 to 6 people on the table with topics of discussion in them. Nice. You can kind of pick and talk with the people you're around. Lightweight. I don't want anything too heavy. Yeah. And then just over some wonderful, wonderful food that is different from the food you would typically get from me at Town Food. So more elevated, a little higher end, but, food to feed your soul. Then on the 24th, that Friday, we are having a shrimp and grits taste-off, which is something that was done years ago at Moad by SF Noir. And then it went away. And it was a wonderful event where you come together. We have 7 local chefs from the Bay Area, from Oakland, actually. Everyone will make their version of shrimp and grits. There will be wines poured by Washira wines. There'll be Helicosa will be there with beers. We will also have cocktails by some Black-owned spirits as well. You will come in and just taste everyone's shrimp and grits, kind of vote who was your favorite. At the end, they will be awarded, tastiest or most favorite shrimp and grits in the town.
Get your roux game
yes,
up.
There. I have gifts for them. We are sponsored by Our Place, who makes wonderful pots and pans, beautiful stuff. We will have a 360 photo booth by 7, and we will have a DJ as well. So, and that one is very lightly priced. So we really expect to have a lot of people there just to have a good time.
Okay.
Have a good time. Then Saturday, we have a free event called Culture Raises Us, which is a podcast, and it will talk about Black culture and its contribution to culture. And that's going to be wonderful. It is free. It will be followed by music by Chris Dope, who is a wonderful DJ. Chris gets the party going. Chris gets me going.
Okay.
And we will also have some light bites passed by myself and have a no-host bar. And then Sunday, finishing out the weekend, we will have our Sunday live jazz soul buffet brunch. Come have brunch before you head over to the Black Joy Parade, or head over to the Black Joy Parade early. Come have brunch and go back.
That's it.
But we have something for everyone that weekend, all family friendly, what have you. It's going to be a lot of fun. I hope to see everyone there. Tickets are all on Eventbrite. If you're not hearing this too late, this will be annual.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, this will be annual.
Okay.
Seat at the Table will be quarterly, but this will be an annual event, and we hope to grow it.
Okay. So it's not going to be too late.
Thank you.
Because I want people to get their tickets. I have mine already, so I will be there. I'll be at multiple events. I have to pace myself this year. Last year, I did so many Black Joy Parade events that by parade day, I was exhausted and I was home.
And, and I was not aware of what was going on. So I felt so out of the loop.
Really?
But I tell you this, next year, us Black folks here in Oakland gonna come together so we don't all have all of our events on the same weekend.
Just like competing.
Right.
Which one I want to go to?
We all have them on the last weekend of the month. I'm not gonna call what it is, but we know what it is. So I'm gonna change my weekend so that people will not be exhausted as you say, and so we can attend and support each other. Because I'm definitely trying to attend other people's events.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to be at the Black Joy Parade right after brunch, right after that last seating of brunch.
I have a rolling rack where I'm just laying out outfits for each day as I'm trying to get ready.
There you go.
Well, this has been great. Thank you so much for coming to the podcast. I will be sure to link to where people can find information about you, about Town Fair, also about OMCA as well, and then links to all of the beautiful events that you're having. I'm looking forward to the 23rd and the 7-course dinner. I will be there with bells on.
Please.
Yes. In the meantime, if you want to stop by my social media and get to know me a little bit better, I'm at Kaja versus Kaja. That's KAHJA_VS_KAHJA. There will be one more episode. Well, actually, with the timing of this, there will be 2. The gist is there will be 7 total this season instead of just 6. So I have really enjoyed this conversation, and I will see you all on the next episode. Peace.